Hello everyone, Russ the Aquarimax here. Russ the Aquarimax here. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. So Corinne, I don't know. I'm going to explain more about parthenogenic geckos. So yeah, this is the enclosure that I recently redid for one of our geckos. I'm going to see if I can take him out. You can see his head up there. I don't want to upset him too much, but there he is up there. Miraculous Illustrator, nice to see you here. Family Pet Adventure, Pet Paradise. Steph, greetings. Horrific Dude, hey, how's that velvet ant doing? And Corinne, you're right, or Corinne, whichever one it is. Welcome, and geckos are very cool. Sheena, also welcome. Okay, let's see if I can just coax him out of his vertical hide. You can see he's got a horizontal hide here, goes all the way through, and he can come out the other side, and then he's got a vertical hide there, so that can help so that they don't get floppy tail and stuff like that. And Moultrie Geeks in the house, nice to see you here. And Steph, you have a new gecko named Jelly. That's awesome. A new Cresty named Jelly. Let me see if I can just gently coax him out. He's coming. He's coming. Here he comes. Okay, let me pick him up. Okay, so the first thing you'll notice about this guy, most likely, hopefully you can see him. How does he look? Can everybody see him all right? I'm trying to aim the lights so that you can see him decently here. He looks fairly normal from this side. But check out this side. He's a special needs gecko. He has basically not an eye. There is an eye there, but it's very tiny. And he was hatched with a normal eye, but it failed to develop because, maybe in part, because he is a Parthenote. In other words, he hatched from an egg. Woo! He hatched from an egg that was laid by his mother without it ever being fertilized by a male gecko, but fertilized by a polar body, which is like an undeveloped egg, basically. So it's not exactly an undeveloped egg, but it's kind of like that. And so the female fertilizes, in this kind of parthenogenesis, the female fertilizes the egg, which I hope that made sense. So let's see. Oh, Family Pet Adventure. Yeah, I can't sell springtails right now. I wish I could, but I hope to soon. And sorry to hear about the velvet ant passing away, Horrific Dude. That's kind of weird because it was very active when he found it yesterday, and then shortly thereafter it passed away, which is weird. It became less active and passed away. So a strange thing about these guys is that sometimes the parthenogenic geckos don't develop at all to be viable. They're not viable. But this one is, oh, he just went to the bathroom on me. Yucky. Hey Gwen, would you get me a paper towel, please? This gentleman has decided to excrete upon me, and that's not a sustainable thing for the rest of the live stream, so I need to clean up a little bit. And Family Pet Adventure. Ooh, you've been calling the Florida Department of Agriculture, and they haven't called you back, huh? Woo! I just stepped on bubble wrap. Sorry. Thank you, Gwen. Appreciate that. Thank you. I might need that. Yes, thank you. She got me a paper towel so I can wipe down. Got the hand sanitizer over here, and then I'll be in better shape, and we'll keep going. But the little dude, you can check him out, and we'll talk about him. So, catching up. Well, Florida, I got my permit from Florida to ship isopods to Florida recently, and there's a limited number of species that they will accept there. For example, I don't think I can ship Armadillidium klugi or Armadillidium maculatum, but I could be wrong about that. If you would like me to tell you the species they accepted, just send me an email, because I don't remember it off the top of my head, and I can't really get to it right now because I'm using the iPad for filming, but I would be happy to look that up for you and tell you what my permit says, and that might give you an idea about what they will accept in Florida. So, Jordan, welcome. And yeah, he's a pretty cool guy. His left eye just failed to develop, which is not uncommon with parthenogenic geckos. The documented cases of them are fairly low, but this is an interesting thing. This guy is a few years old now. When he hatched, he looked completely normal, but then his left eye just didn't develop. And then I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you his little brother. We actually got two of them. Now, some people have asked us, do you think this could be a case of stored sperm in the female or something? Because that seems pretty weird. But even though it does seem weird, I'll tell you what. We got the mother of these two when she was just a month old, and she has never mated. We've kept her for, I don't know, it's like 5 years or something now, and 5 or maybe 6 years, and she has never mated. She's never been unattended with a male. She has never. So we're reasonably sure. Now this is her other offspring. This one, you can see if you look, this one doesn't have as much of an issue with its eye. By the time the other one was this big, its eyes were having worse problems. But you can still see that the eyes are uneven, if he'll stay still long enough. That his right eye is functional. For some reason I'm having trouble. That eye is functional, but considerably smaller than the eye on the left. So this one is also incredibly small for its age. And with Captain Squinty, this one here, Captain Squinty is a little small for an adult gecko, but he is, close to an adult gecko size. He has a little bit of an abnormality in his hip, and but other than that, he seems healthy. He has a good appetite and stuff like that. And okay, thank you, Heather. She sent some of the plants that are in this vivarium as well as some additional plants, and she's given me some information on the species. Yeah, in Florida, I can kind of understand why things are illegal, although it's not fun, just because so many things could get established there, and so many things have been established there. But Mickey and Horrific Dude, you want to give Velvet Ants another try? What day of time of year would be the best to find them? Did you find yours? I have found some of mine, and some of mine were sent to me very generously by Peter at Bugs in Cyberspace. He usually has them in the summer, starts around from July, and then maybe into September, October, somewhere in there is when he usually has them, because that's when they're generally most abundant and easy to find. I would say it depends on where you are in the country. You're probably further south than I am, so it was easier for you to find one, I'm guessing. But you can find them in my state anywhere from May, if you look in the right place, depending. I mean, if you go far enough south, you can find them earlier than that, but generally in my area, you can find them from May to maybe October. And the best times of day are usually early in the morning between, like, say, 6 and 9 in the morning, and in the evening between 6 and 10 p.m. Best time to find them. Usually alongside dry, packed hiking trails is a good way to do it. So, Abel, welcome. And yeah, both of these have a coloration fairly similar to their mother, which is not surprising since she was two of their parents. And they're doing pretty well. I just wish I'm having such a hard time focusing. I feel like it's focusing well on the back, vivarium in the back, and it's not focusing well on the geckos, which is kind of frustrating. So polypodioids. I don't think I've worked. That's a fern, isn't it? I don't know if I've worked with that species of fern. I don't. Is it a fern, or am I wrong? I'm thinking that's a fern. There is a scientific name of a fern that's similar to that. Sorry to hear that, Steph. Okay. And Moombas, hey, how are those isopods doing? And Chad, good evening. Thanks for dropping a like, and thank you for watching the replay later. Okay, it is a fern. Resurrection fern. I have not worked with those. I think they're cool, but I have not had one. And Corinne, yes. That is what got my wife interested in getting a crested gecko. Took her to a reptile expo a number of years ago, probably 7 or 8 years ago, and she thought it was cool. Those were her exact words, as I recall. And then one. And she said, I need one of those. This one's calling to me. And so we brought her the little month-old hatchling home. And that was the mother of these guys. And we still have her, and she's doing really well. And part of it was what sold her on them is how soft they are when she touched one. And HG Aqua, welcome. All right. Yeah, this one's usually fairly calm. I love that crested geckos in general are fairly calm. You can get a Rose of Jericho Resurrection plant at Hobby Lobby for a few dollars. Oh, isn't that those little kits that have like Venus flytrap seeds? Oh, he jumped right onto the tripod. Pick him up here. Or like triops eggs and stuff like that. Is that kind of area? It's so sad I can't focus on them. I wish I could. It's totally not having it though. Oh, that's better. A little better focus there. So anyway, it's been interesting to watch these guys grow. We're still waiting on the skin samples. You know, we saved a little bit of shed from the older one in the back there, from Captain Squinty, not here from Meek yet, we haven't done that, and from the mother, and sent them in to a herpetologist in, I believe it's the University of Oklahoma, if I'm not wrong, and I think his name is, it's either Dr. Warren or his first name is Warren, and he is going to do some genetic testing on the skins to confirm that that Captain Squinty back there is a Parthenote. And Moombas. They're doing great. I love how not shy the zebras are. I now have 15 different species of isopod. You got me hooked. Awesome. Yeah, zebras are one of the better ones for activity levels, for sure. Maybe not the most active of all isopods, but among the more active ones, for sure. And I am interested in doing resurrection fern sometime. I need to research it a little bit more. That's very generous of you, Family Pet Advice. Place for it and whatnot, but that might be kind of cool. Hey, Brubby TV. Gonna set up a dart frog tank. That's awesome. And it's good to get some plants in mine first. Giant blooming air plants as well. Awesome. I've got some Neoregelia bromeliads, but I don't have any tillandsias at the moment. I've had some. So Corin has springtails and dwarf white isopods, but totally want more Florida laws, though. Yeah. Well, I wish I could pull up the species that Florida allows, but there are a fair number of them. But they're not nearly as many as some of the other states. Horrific Dude is in the southern region. I was just crouched down watching some fire ants when all of a sudden this velvet ant crawled right in front of me. Cool. Yeah, you must be pretty far south if you're getting into the fire ants. I've spent some time down in Texas and encountered fire ants. It's been years since I was down there, but my grandmother used to live down there. And on this big property, I think it was, it was a large property. And she didn't own it, but she lived on the outskirts of it and took care of the property. And it was, there were, I think, 5 ponds on the property. There were turtles everywhere. There were snakes everywhere. Everything. It was really cool. Let's see. Okay, so Steph says, was about to get some dairy cows and then I had to move back home. My parents want me to downsize on what I've already got. Oh, that's sad. Dairy cows are one of the best isopods out there. Seriously. One of my personal favorites for sure. But Heather, you may notice the plants seem to be doing well. Everybody's so far doing well. Hopefully they continue to do well as they're growing. Let's see. I'm going to take this guy out and let him crawl around a little bit as I try to catch up. Let's see. Where was I? Yeah, Mrs. Kell, zebras are really, really kind of out there and active. I like that about them a lot. I feel like if I had to pick one of the Armadillidium species that's the most active, that might just be it. And then if I had to pick a Porcelia, it would be Porcelia laevis dairy cow for sure. Let's see. And Horrific Dude, that could be true. That could have affected the velvet. I had a crested gecko. We were planning to get a new gecko soon. Once a chameleon, but I've heard they can be difficult. What's your experience? Crested geckos are much, much, much easier than chameleons. They also live longer. Crested geckos live longer. And crested geckos are in general so much easier to keep than chameleons are. Chameleons are awesome. I haven't kept any. I've babysat chameleons. But I do know for a fact that chameleons are much more challenging in terms of feeding, in terms of providing the right environment for them. You're going to have to deal with UVB lighting. You're going to have to deal with a variety of insect feeders. You're going to have to deal with providing lots of ventilation, but still decent humidity level and things like that. So chameleons are going to be tougher. But yeah, definitely. They're cool though. Seamus Buckley, where's the best place to get mixed cork flats and rounds? I've gotten most of mine from neherpeticulture.com and from the BioDude. But I'm sure there are other places, but those are some of the best ones that I've used for cork bark, in both the flats and rounds. And Steph says, Seamus ordered from Josh's Frogs today. They're doing some big sales and stuff tonight, including cork bark. Nice tip. And Molter Geeks, yeah, fire ants. Both in Hawaii, where I used to live, and Texas, where I used to spend time in the summers, encountered fire ants. The ones in Hawaii must be a different species because the sting doesn't hurt nearly as bad as the ones... Oh, you're going to jump, aren't you? I'm going to move you. As the ones in Texas. The ones in Texas really hurt. The ones in Hawaii stung a little, but they weren't nearly as bad. They were both very aggressive, though. And Heather, my museum is closed at the moment, and the bid taxidermy show out here was canceled, so I have free time and saved money looking at plans to order. Well, that's the bright side for sure. Yeah, lots of things are closing down. You know, here, to add insult to injury, so to speak, we had a big earthquake. 5.7 earthquake. It's not huge, but it is a significant earthquake. It caused some damage, and it caused some closures and things today, so... is being bad enough, and now we had an earthquake today, so easy. Slava Pepe, I'm looking at getting an Amazon milk frog soon. I've decided I'm going to bioactive dry them. Do you think dairy cows would make an acceptable cleanup crew along with springtails? They are big frogs. I don't know if the frogs would eat them or not. I have dairy cows in this vivarium, and before I had it set up full bioactive, I had like the partial bioactive where there weren't live plants, but there was a substrate and leaf litter and isopods. Had dairy cows in there. They kept it clean as a whistle. So if you can keep the milk frogs from eating the dairy cows too fast, then yeah, then maybe it will work for you. And William, I did read it. I bet you won't read this. I read it. And yes, Ken, dairy cows, they do rock. One of the best. And Andrea, hey, thanks for your videos. I'm a new iSpud parent. I'm very grateful. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. Thank you. And the same to you. Enjoy those isopods. Yeah, fancy footwork on the gecko's part. Yes, BioDude has some good cork bark. Corin says, maybe try the Cuban false chameleon. They're supposedly easier, but I could be wrong. Yeah, that's them. And they seem like they might actually be easier than normal chameleons. If you want some of the same features of a chameleon. So, all right. All the way up my legs immediately. Lots of them. Crazy. Corin doesn't get earthquakes, only hurricanes. Well, the earthquake wasn't too bad at a 5.7. It was enough to shake things around, knock some things off shelves and whatnot. It may have damaged our deck a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. None of my aquariums or vivariums fell. Oh, a gecko breeder. Move some enclosures to the floor to prevent damage from aftershocks. That is smart. I wasn't here. Oh, enclosures. But the aftershocks, fortunately, were not bad. We had some. We noticed some, but they were not bad. None of them were as bad as the original quake itself. And how would you go about a gecko that's super scared of your hens? Like, taming it? Well, there's a couple of different ways to do it. The method that I often use is just handling it for a period of time, even though it is uncomfortable, and just saying, okay, I'm going to handle it for, say, 15 minutes, and then put it back in. And if you do that, initially it will be uncomfortable, of course, but after a while it'll realize, oh, you're not trying to eat me. I'm okay. I can handle this. and then come down. I've had some geckos like that, and that's the method I use for just about any creature, really. And it seems to work pretty well. I've used a variety of creatures. Okay, I think this gecko is kind of settling down, and I would like to dedicate some of the stream over here. Just a second here, not to my face, don't worry. I'm going to dedicate it over this direction to the snake vivarium. In fact, I'm going to open it. I'm going to take this off the tripod so we can take a look at what's going on. I just fed these guys, so I'm not going to pick them up. But seeing as they're diurnal, here's another one over here. You can see it right under the fern, hanging out. And it's so fun. I love this. I love these snakes. So hopefully that helps, Anthony. That's the method I have used with various creatures, and it really tends to make a difference. Just small, short. And I'm not the only one. I didn't come up with that method by any means, but it really works. I've used it on birds. I've used it on reptiles of various kinds, even mammals. So, thorapods, welcome. We used tree pods for your isopods before, like sweet gum tree or magnolia pods. You think you're going to get another snack, do you? Huh? This is Rufus right here. They usually come out when they want a snack. Oh, that's not Rufus. Sorry, that's Houdini. And he's the smallest of the snakes. And the pods. I haven't used sweet gum, but I have used magnolia pod. Look at the color on his stripes. I love it. These red-sided garter snakes, really pretty little snakes. And I love how they just come out to say hi. Okay. So, and I agree, Corin, they're really pretty. Calconort, hola from California. Nice to see you here. And Jordan had a question about the drainage layer. What does the water go? What does the water? Probably what does the water do that is in there? Okay, let's look at the drainage layer for a second over here. There's several things it does. One thing it helps to do is maintain a good humidity level. You can see there's about half an inch, maybe 3/4 inch in here. Probably needs a little bit more. And that basically helps maintain humidity in the lower level when some of that percolates up. If you don't have that drainage layer water in there, that tends to cause issues with the humidity in there. So hopefully that kind of clears that up. It does also help, because it's maintaining that humidity, that helps create a good environment for microfauna down there, as well as the plant roots and the beneficial bacterial colonies. So that's basically what that does. So this is Houdini, because he escaped right after we got him, and I immediately, as soon as possible, changed the enclosure. And then so he couldn't escape anymore, and never has since. This is Rufus McDangernoodle right here. His name is Rufus McDangernoodle because he's a red-sided garter snake, and Rufus means red, and McDangernoodle because I've always wanted to name a snake Rufus McDangernoodle, at least for a long time. And then this is Ruby, once again because of the red color of the snakes. So actually the snakes are kind of far away right now. I switched Rufus and Ruby. This is Rufus, this is Ruby. I think I said it backwards before. So I'm going to come back, and thank you, Mrs. Kell. I think they're pretty cute too. Garter snakes don't try to eat my cleanup crew, because for cleanup crew I'm using springtails, which they have no interest in eating, and Armadillidium klugi isopods, which again they have no interest in eating. Garter snakes, there are snakes that will eat insects and crustaceans, like insects and crustaceans and whatnot, so they don't eat them. At least not very often. And so I don't have to worry about that. If I were to put earthworms in here, I would have to worry about it. They would eat up my cleanup crew pretty fast, but fortunately I don't have to worry about it. So I'm really enjoying this setup. You can see that they've been shedding, and I'm just leaving that in there for the isopods to eat. I think there's some traces of a skin over here. I think the isopods have eaten some of it already. There was another skin over here, a little bit of it still left there. And hey, Houdini, here you are, doing your thing. Hello. Just wants to say hi. I love that they're so friendly. So Jordan says, do you ever need to drain it? It depends. If it gets too high, like it's going to touch the layer above it, then yes, you need to drain it. But if not, you don't need to. You can just leave it there and let it do its thing otherwise. Generally, the plant roots and the fact that there's good oxygen exchange keep that pretty healthy. So, good questions. Oh, the Puget Sound garters are pretty cool. I used to live in that area when I was a kid, and yeah, pretty amazing snakes. I would see some pretty fantastic ones there. And thank you for joining in, Steph. And Jordan, the PVC method for draining, where you put a PVC standpipe in, and then you cover it, and then when you need to drain it, you just take the cover off and put like a turkey baster or some other a pump or something in there and drain it. Yeah, that's a good method if you think you're going to need it, then it's a great method to do it. I've only had to do it maybe once, and what I did is just kind of peeled back some of the substrate, peeled back the screen separator, and then just used a turkey baster and stuck up some. But it hardly ever happens. Hardly ever happens in the method that I use for putting water in and stuff. So I've never had to do it other than that once. So I can put standpipes in, but it's definitely some good insurance. And Heather uses natural lumpwood charcoal as a drainage layer to get the added benefit of charcoal filtering. Yeah, charcoal absorbs a lot of material, so that's a good thing too. So Corin says, roommates are terrified of snakes. Oh, that's too bad, because they are pretty cool. And you're welcome, Jordan. Great question. I'm always glad for good questions like that. This substrate, this particular substrate, this is Biodude stuff, and a lot of his substrates don't require drainage layers. This is one of them. And we've been using his substrate for a number of years. Not this particular one, because this vivarium is fairly new. It's only been set up for a few weeks. But in our leopard gecko tank, that's been set up for a few years now, maybe 3-ish, 3.5, something like that. And it's doing great. Doesn't have a drainage layer, doesn't need it. So it's pretty cool. Last question, do the springtails hang out in that layer? You mean like the very bottom layer? I think some of them do up near the top. They'll lay eggs and stuff in there. I don't see them a lot in there, but I don't spend a lot of time looking at it, but I have seen springtails in it. So I think, they spend some time in that layer, yes. And they may be doing some of their egg deposition in that layer. So, wow, do you just want to come out and say hi? What is going on? You can do that if you want. You can just come crawl on me. So horrific dude, I have actually kept marine isopods before. When I had marine aquaria, almost anybody who keeps, a reef aquarium, here he is. He's going to come say hi. Anyone who keeps a reef aquarium and puts live rock in it, they're going to get some marine isopods, and I have kept those. Very small marine isopods, granted, but marine isopods nonetheless. I have never kept any really large ones in my life, but I would be interested in doing it maybe, but they require very large tanks and generally chilled water, and be a very expensive setup, so I have not done that. But there is some temptation there. Of course, the marine isopods, we have some in an aquarium that's not far from my house, and they are not very charismatic. You can sit and stare at them for 15 minutes, they don't move at all sometimes. So I am not, I don't think it would be a very exciting type of isopod to keep. I think dairy cows are a lot more exciting. But yeah, they are pretty cool. Sometimes they're at the point where they really are not afraid of me, although when I make quick movements, sometimes I have to be careful about quick movements. They don't like the quick movements so much. But they're very happy to come out, crawl on my hand, get their exercise that way. And today, for example, I really shouldn't be handling this guy because I fed them today. But usually if it's this kind of handling, I'm not scaring them, getting them out, it's not so bad. But when I feed them, I have them come crawl out in my hand first and then grab their food. And I think that helps them be friendly and interested in interacting. So ivory millipedes are doing well. I don't know which generation I'm on, but I've got a colony of them with, there are young juveniles in there, and there are adults that grew up here and stuff. I'm not sure exactly how many I have. The other day I looked in and saw 15 or so at the surface, maybe. So, let's see. Seamus Buckley. I'm struggling to keep my morning gecko cage warm enough, and only with that, 12 by 12 by 18. What is the temperature in there right now, Seamus? Because unless you're going below about 60 degrees Fahrenheit, you probably don't need to worry about it. They are really, really tolerant to cool temperatures. It will slow down their breeding, but 65 degrees is a fine temperature. I mean, you can keep them indefinitely, 65 degrees Fahrenheit, which is warm at all, and they will do fine. They'll breed at that temperature. So I wouldn't worry about it too much unless you're going below that temperature. I let mine get down into the 60s in the winter most of the time, and they do just fine. All right. And this is the first time, Mickey, I've seen the garter set up. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you like it. I'm really, really getting a kick out of it. Bioactive is the way to go. So much easier to maintain, so much better looking. And the snakes have more fun with it, obviously. I mean, I know some people would argue with me that snakes don't necessarily have fun, and everyone can talk about semantics and whatnot, but they appear so much in them. So, and these snakes, mini reptilinks, and they get tilapia fillets sometimes with calcium added. They get earthworms sometimes, so they have, some variety in their diet. They can also eat a few other things, but that's mostly what I give them. Mrs. Kell, congratulations on your first morning gecko egg. And Jordan, thank you so much. That's awesome. I love the super chats, and I really appreciate it. Jordan, you're one of the most, how can I say, you provide a lot of super chats. You're very generous with super chats, which I really, really appreciate. It helps. I'm going to try to do some herping videos where we go out in nature and things like that, and things like the Patreon supporters and super chats help to make those possible. So I really appreciate that, as well as making things like this snake vivarium possible. Everything helps. Really, really appreciate it. So I guess I'm just about to my time. I need to close up because we need to get some other things done this evening, but I'll try to get through what we've got, and then we'll go. But Jordan, since you sent the super chat, I'm letting you know if you do have any other questions. Let me know. Happy to answer. Anthony Perry, found some mold fungi on a piece of manzanita, so I wait for the springtails or manually remove it. Depends on how serious it is. If it's just a little bit, I'd let the springtails handle it. But if it's really going nuts, you could kind of wipe it off. And this plant is a variety of bird's nest fern called Leslie, so it's a cultivar. This is a lemon button fern over here. This is a Korean rock fern. And over here is a snake plant, aptly enough. This is I'm not sure which cultivar this is. There are so many cultivars. So there we go. And let's see. Okay, so yeah, Seamus, I wouldn't worry. I think you're going to be in the right temperature range. And I do sell morning geckos. If you're, for people in the continental U.S., I do sell morning geckos. So let me know. You can send me a message, and I have juveniles available right now. And why not Wyoming? Thank you. Oh, yeah, Family Pet Adventure. Definitely do some herping. And you're welcome, Moombas. Jordan? Oh, you'd be interested in a higher tier for Patreon. Well, I should do it. I should do it then. Because I have, my highest tier is right now $15 plus, and I have some people that are doing more because you can do more than the highest tier. You just are included in that tier. But I'm definitely interested in adding some more. So that is good news, Jordan. I'll work on that. I'll look into that. Let's see. Where is Houdini hanging out right now? I want to make sure he's not in a weird place so I don't shut the door on him or something. Okay, a small group, so it's pretty cool. And yes, the type of snake plant, it's one of the smaller Hanai types, but I'm not sure. There are so many. And yes, I have a cresty. I usually sell morning geckos for $25 each, $50 for two, of course, because I don't sell them individually, unless you already have one. And then I sell 3 for $70. So thank you so much, Jordan. Thank you so much, everyone. It looks like it's about time to close up, but thank you for joining in, and I'll have a video for you on Friday. So see you soon.